Hi, I'm Lee Partridge and welcome back to another midweek show. On the show this evening, we'll be looking at the action and the reaction from last night's fantastic performance against Brentford. We'll get the man of the match results as chosen by yourselves, and also we'll take a look ahead at the Tranmere game at the weekend. Right, let's get into the show and let's look at those highlights from last night, followed by the thoughts of Wayne Brown.
Wayne, Premier League opposition tonight, but there was times where you were certainly taking the game to them.
Yeah, definitely, and that was always going to be the plan. You know, it's going to be a different fixture, different night to what we encountered in the last round. Number one being away from home, number two being against your local rivals, and number three, they probably wouldn't have made many changes to what they would have normally done in a league game. So it was a totally different night to the one we encountered a couple of weeks back. The plan was always going to be to frustrate them, to try and get them to force the balls into areas where they wanted to play, but we had bodies in those areas. I thought we were on the front foot a lot more. I thought we regained possession in better areas. But more importantly, on the transitions, when we did regain it, we looked after it. It was just massive that we got our first pass off and we had players in pockets to receive to play forwards, and that was a big part of us tonight and how we got successes. Ultimately, we played in more advantageous positions. We got the ball into those areas on a constant, regular basis. But we looked after the ball tonight, and at times that's been the frustration. That's been the negative, should I say, in some of the games that we've played. We haven't taken care of the ball. Transition's been a total, transition on the games. We win the ball back, give it away. But I thought we were a lot better tonight. I thought we played in better areas, got the ball in better areas, hence why we did have many more set plays. Set plays was always going to be a real advantage for us. We highlighted that as maybe somewhere where we could get joy against them, and that proved the case. But ultimately, the difference between the two teams is they're ruthless and we're not. If we're ruthless with our chances that we create, we could be sitting here having a different conversation, but we're not. And listen, that's why they're at the top of the game. That's why they bring Ivan on at the dynamics of the game, and he puts the ball in the net from a set play. That's what he gets a lot of money for. He's worth millions of pounds, and ultimately we obviously can't attract that sort of player because we're at the level that we're at. But ultimately we need to be ruthless. We need to be better in front of goal. We need to take our chances, and if we do that, we stand a better chance of winning games of football.
Yeah, and you made a number of changes to the starting 11, but there's senior players coming in for senior players. So it didn't weaken us at all. And in fact, one of those players coming in, Tom Dalton, will feel that he's probably one that maybe could have scored in either half.
He had 2 great opportunities, Dallo, and ultimately he's kicking himself, and rightly so. You know, you miss chances from 4 yards and you're going to be kicking yourself. He's human, but listen, it happens. It happens. We did make changes tonight. We used the fixture for us. I know they made 11, but ultimately we made, I think, 4 or 5 changes ourselves to try and get minutes into individuals that need minutes. Try and get them up to a speed where they're now contenders to be picked for selection. We've had a number of injuries this year to real key important players, and we've had to rely and count on the individuals to step up to the plate, and they did. They did again tonight. And ultimately, I'm all about equality, and if you're doing well in the team, you get to keep your shirt, and all they've done tonight is give them the best chance of getting into the team come Saturday, and that's what you need as a manager, and that was the whole point of the exercise.
Yeah, on top of the pitch, John Akinde has had a difficult time in his Colchester career so far. Last season, hampered by a really bad bout of COVID that set him back a lot, and then obviously he's been frustrated that he hasn't been in the starting lineup, but good to see him get 90 minutes and be a real handful for the Brentford defence.
Definitely, and again, he's one that struggled to get minutes of late. The 90 minutes, and it was always the plan tonight to flood him with minutes and exhaust him, if you like, to get his fitness and sharpness to where it needs to be to have a real big impact for us come Saturday. It was a real good exercise for him tonight. The challenge now for John is he now needs to reproduce. Come Saturday or come Tuesday when he's next selected, he now needs to reproduce those levels and be the constant menace that he can be for 90 minutes. And ultimately, that's the challenge for that individual.
Now, the challenge they all are throwing at you is pick me for Saturday, which, talking to you during pre-season, that's what you want from all your players. You want the headache of thinking, right, who do I pick for the next game, which is Tranmere on Saturday.
Definitely, and when you have injuries to key players in your squad, it's about opportunity. And if you're given the opportunity because you've done well in pre-season or there's injuries throughout the team, it's what you do with that opportunity as an individual will dictate how many games you play, not just the experienced players, but young players coming into the team. That will then enhance your chances of staying in the team. If you stay in the team and continue to do well, ultimately you're going to have a good career. And that's the business that we're in. But as I said to you before, I am all about equality, regardless of age. And if someone comes in and does a good job, you keep your shirt. And I think that was evident with my team selection on Saturday against Orient. We left Scousy out. Although he was fit, I thought that the people in that midfield area had done a particularly good job, and had been doing a good job in the games that he unfortunately missed out on. Saturday's a different game, but this just gives me more headaches, and it's headaches that I want.
Wayne Brown's thoughts there on last night's game. Plenty of positives, of course, to take into the game against Tranmere. Brentford showed respect not just to the club, but also to us with their starting lineup, as we could see, and also bringing Ivan Toney on in the second half. They knew the game was well and truly still alive. So, respect to us for the way we played. Great performances all over the park. Before we go on to talk about Tranmere, Tom Dallison back in the starting lineup last night, and he joined us here in the studio immediately after the game, and this was his thoughts.
Tom, obviously a loss tonight, but I think the general consensus of the boys played quite well in that game against Premier League opposition. What's your sort of assessment of it?
Yeah, there's plenty of positives to take away from the game. First and foremost, obviously, very good quality opposition, Premier League side. But yeah, I think we shaped up all right. We looked good in spells, probably fine details actually cost us the game in the end. On a personal note, could have had probably 1 or 2 tonight myself. So yeah, we'll look back at the game, analyse it as we always do it, and see where we can improve. But yeah, reiterate, there's probably a lot of positives we can take away from that game tonight.
Yeah, it sort of probably acts as good motivation going forward. I mean, we played against a very good team who had quality on the pitch with a starting 11 and off of the bench, the likes of Ivan Toney coming on as well. What does that do for you as a player personally, knowing that you've put in a good performance and you've shown that you're capable of competing with players at that top level?
It's good. They're the games you want to be involved in. I think if you could have double figures of them games a season, you'd take it. They're the games you want to be involved in, bigger crowds. I think all the lads, they relish in them games, and the staff do as well. So yeah, again, you can take positives from that game. Better opposition's always going to sometimes bring the best out of you because you've got to rise to the occasion, or you kind of get eaten alive at the same time. So, but yeah, I think we done okay.
What's the sort of preparation like for a game like this? Sort of, you spend obviously time. It's a midweek fixture, so you don't have a huge amount of time after the game at the weekend to prepare for it. What does a manager say to you, and how do you prepare as a player for a quick turnaround in a cup match at home? You want to impress the fans. What's that like?
Yeah, well, I think it's tough having it on a Tuesday night midweek straight after a Saturday league game because you want to debrief from the Saturday game, and the gaffer and staff go quite into depth with our debriefs, which is good. So at the same time, we want to look back at the Orient game Saturday, but then you don't want to dwell on it too much with the positives and negatives, and you want to look ahead to the Brentford game. But we've probably got one day to do that. So it's a lot of information Monday, a lot of information pre-match. But I think the lads took a lot of it on board today. I don't know if you can see the same. I've just walked off the pitch. I'll probably have to watch the game back myself and see. But I think the lads took a lot of information on board tonight.
Yeah, is that something that will go straight onto the training ground in preparation for the weekend? Again, you've got a couple of days to prepare for the league game again on Saturday, an away trip. Is that a positive you can take from today, that you showed good qualities on the pitch today, and that's something you've now got to put into effect to pick up some points at the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, listen, tonight's gone now, so Tranmere away now is in our heads. So, I mean, we're having probably a little debrief Thursday and see where we could have done better on that, but the games come thick and fast, so don't get too long to dwell on the positives and the negatives. So yeah, it'll be straight onto Tranmere away now, and how we can go there and get 3 points.
And on a personal note, obviously nice to start a game for you in such a big tie. Is that something that will motivate you to keep going and make sure you're able to sort of help the squad going forward as well? Yeah,
I mean, tonight's brilliant for me to go out and get 90 minutes after a frustrating couple of months. Had a few muscle injuries, which has been a frustrating time, but the physio team's been top draw. The gaffer's been real good with me as well, so it's nice to be back out there in front of the fans, and a great game to be back involved in as well.
Tom Dallison clearly happy to be back and in the starting lineup, and a great performance, not just from him, but right across the park, as we mentioned earlier. He'll be looking at getting in another starting lineup on Saturday, of course, against Tranmere. But now it's time to find out the man of the match from last night's game, as voted by you. And Alex Newby was named by the sponsors, and you've picked him too as your man of the match. Now let's take a look ahead to Saturday's trip up to Prenton Park and Tranmere Rovers. Mickey Mellon's side coming to Saturday's game off the back of their second round match in the Carabao Cup, hosting Newcastle United at Prenton Park. The Prenton Park side will be hoping they can cause an upset, giving them plenty of momentum to go into this weekend's contest. They have had a steady start to the season, picking up 4 points from 5 games with just one league win, a 3-0 victory over Gillingham a couple of weeks ago. Last season's top scorer, Elliot Nevitt, bagged the first, with summer arrival Ethan Bristow and Josh Dacres Cogley also both on target. It's been a busy summer for Tranmere, with 12 arrivals and 8 departures, building a squad that they will hope can return them to League One after missing out on the playoffs last season. Notable arrivals include former Ipswich Town and Bristol Rovers man John Nolan, after his release from the Memorial Stadium in the summer, Ross Dooham from Celtic for an undisclosed fee after a successful loan spell with Mellon's side last season, and the return of influential midfielder Paul Lewis, who makes the switch back after a season at Northampton. We headed up to Prenton Park on a Friday evening in October last season, but we was comfortably beaten by Tranmere 2-0, and we will be looking to atone for that result, of course. Josh Hawkes and Peter Clark bagged the goals in the second half in front of a 7,000 strong home crowd that night, with Shamal George pulling off some fine saves for Hayden Mullins' men. All the ticket information and links are on our website for the game if you're heading up to the northwest this weekend. You can always contact us here, media@colchesterunited.net, about anything Colchester related. And safe journey to and from Tranmere if you are heading up. We'll leave you with the memorable home win against Tranmere from last season and that celebration, that special celebration, the goal from Junior Shamadou. Until next time, it's goodbye for now and have a great week.